I'm back with a bit of a pregnancy story time. In my previous video, I was talking about having first trimester bleeding and wanted to go ahead and make a video in regards to that in case there's anyone experiencing this or have experienced it or know someone that is experiencing it. Yeah, so let's just get into it. It is called a subchorionic bleed. There are different types of bleeding, but mine was subchorionic. Not every type of bleed leads to miscarriage, but unfortunately, a lot of them do. In my case, it did not. Put this down. Yes, I had a subchorionic bleed. So basically what happens is when the baby is implanting, like in the beginning, there can be a little detachment in the implantation from the uterine line, and it makes a pocket. And eventually that pocket will then bleed out. Sometimes they do not bleed out. I do want to put that out there. Not all subchorionic, what they call hemorrhages or hematomas, bleed, but some do. And it is very, very scary. So pretty much at 7 weeks, I will never forget it because I felt like YouTube jinxed me. I love watching YouTube videos. And I watched a YouTube video for like 7 weeks, like I was probably like 6 weeks, 5 days. I'm like, yeah, let's get into the next week. And so 7 weeks apparently is like the most common week for miscarriage. So said this video. And I did see in other like forums and things like that, it did say that it was a common week. Now, I'm just hoping I don't like sprinkle juju on somebody and they feel like panicked like I did. If you are, I'm so sorry. But it did freak me out. I was extra angry. I like angrily clicked the video off. I was like, I don't have time for this. And but yeah, so I saw that video, and then it was like the next day I started to have a bleed. And I was just like, goddamn YouTube jinxed me. So, but anywho, so it happened. Of course, I flew out of the house to the emergency room because it was the middle of the night. And pretty much I went in, I saw an ER doctor. They did a transvaginal ultrasound, and he let me know I had 2 small bleeds. He said they were very small, but I mean, if you say small, very small, minuscule, it really doesn't make a difference to a pregnant woman who's trying to have a baby. Bleeding is bleeding is bleeding. And so he also said, like, at that point, it was a 50-50 chance of miscarriage. And I was just like, he didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't say, like, hey, Funky Bunch, this could happen, but most likely won't. Or he just didn't deliver it very well. It was very cold and like, hey, might not even have a baby. Like, okay. So pretty much I was sitting there, broken because I was like, great, now I have to worry about this. And there's enough worry that goes through your head, especially if you've already had a loss. And my husband and I lost our first baby. It was early on. It was about 8.5 weeks into the pregnancy. Really sucked. And so, of course, that experience makes pregnancy scary. So basically, I was sent home to digest that information. And I had to find a doctor to go ahead and have a follow-up appointment with. And it took me like a week to get an appointment because apparently everybody was just super booked and so busy, too busy for me. And that's how that felt. I obviously know that they can't just you in when you're new and things like that. But I just remember being irritated, devastated, and depressed. And it was just kind of like to the point where I was just like, okay, if this is going to be over, then just let's let it be over, because my bleeding lasted 3 weeks. 3 very long weeks. Every time you go to the restroom, you are wiping blood. So every time I went to the bathroom, I was reminded of the loss that I had. And it really, really, really kind of, I won't say ruined my first trimester, but it sucked all of the joy out of it. So if you are going through this, or God forbid, experience it, don't feel bad, because it is depressing, it is triggering, it is upsetting. Because every time you go to the bathroom, you're seeing this and you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You have to wait to get ultrasound after ultrasound pretty much to see if it's getting smaller, if it's still there, what is it doing, because it can also get bigger. They can get bigger before they get smaller, which is interesting. That did not happen to me. They can also absorb into the body and disappear that way, or they just, in a sense, bleed and shrink. And for me, it started out light pink, like light spotting, then it turned red, then it would get brown, then it would turn back to pink, bright red, then brown. It kind of did this back and forth. And typically with bleeding, as we know as ladies who have periods and things like that, when it starts to get brown, we know it's the end of the road, it's old blood, boom. With this, it was not the case. It played games with my heart, guys. Like, it jumped back and forth and everywhere in between. But eventually it did taper off and it left. I went for an ultrasound at like 10 weeks, some odd, and it was gone. Thank you. I was so excited for it to be gone and to just move forward, because I just felt like I was in a dark hole, and there was nothing I could do about it but wait. Ooh, that glare is bad. But there was nothing I could do but wait. So I basically just want to put this video out there to say, if you're having a subchorionic bleed, it is not the end of the road. I know later subchorionic bleeds are different and they have more risks to them. A subchorionic bleed in the 3rd trimester, late 2nd trimester are a bit more serious, just because they're typically bigger. But even with that, I've read the blogs, I've read forums, all those things. There are women with those who make it through, have healthy, beautiful babies, and so can you. Also, if you're watching this and you don't have this experience and you haven't, please don't freak out, please don't stress, because it may not happen to you. And typically, I do want to put out there, it typically only happens with women after their first baby. It's kind of a common occurrence if you've already had a child for whatever reason. So again, it is common, and it is also common for you to be just fine. So yes, I just wanted to end with that. It is a very bumpy road, pregnancy. It will take you through a lot of emotions. I'm pretty sure this isn't the last story that you're going to hear from me about some type of stress, strife, or trial in pregnancy, because pregnancy is hard, but it is beautiful, guys. So I will catch you guys next time, and baby dust to you guys out there. Bye.